Every relationship hides a story, and every story carries pain. Welcome to Cheating Stories Insights, where truth bleeds through words. At the airport, my wife hissed, "Don't walk with me. You'll embarrass me in front of my rich friends." The terminal buzzed with the usual symphony of arrivals and departures, but her voice sliced through it like a blade. "Don't walk with me. You'll embarrass me in front of my rich friends." She didn't look at me when she said it, just straight ahead, chin lifted, lips painted with the smile she wore for others, not for me. I slowed my steps, let her peel forward into the crowd. My chest felt hollow. No anger, not yet. Only the cold recognition of distance. A line drawn in public, deliberate, sharp. I let her vanish into a circle of waiting women and men. Perfume, tailored jackets, laughter too loud for sincerity. She blended in seamlessly, as though she'd rehearsed her belonging there, as though I had always been a shadow best left behind. I stood with her suitcase at my side, the weight of it grounding me. People passed. I felt invisible. And then she glanced back. Not with guilt, not with affection, but with warning. The kind of look that tells you to keep your distance, to know your place. I nodded, slowly. A gesture so small it could have been mistaken for nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was the first stone laid on a path I hadn't known I would walk until that moment. Because something inside me shifted, quietly, irreversibly. The drive home was wordless. She sat in the passenger seat scrolling her phone, laughter slipping from her lips as she typed responses. Her body angled away from mine, as though even proximity was an inconvenience. When I pulled into the driveway, she opened the door before the car had fully stopped. No thank you, no good night. Just heels on pavement, keys in hand, door shut. I sat there, engine still running, staring at the place where she had been. It wasn't new, the distance, the disdain, but the public humiliation at the airport burned differently. She had not just separated herself from me, she had declared it. And beneath the humiliation, a darker suspicion stirred. The late nights explained away as networking dinners. The perfume I didn't recognize lingering on her when she came home. The secretive laughter at her phone, screen tilted away from me. The pieces were scattered, but they began to align into a shape I didn't want to name. Infidelity doesn't announce itself. It drips, slowly, like water through a crack in the ceiling, until the whole house begins to rot. I told myself I could be wrong, that I was imagining shadows where there was only light. But the echo of her words at the airport replayed with a cruel rhythm. "You'll embarrass me in front of my rich friends." Rich friends. Not our friends. Her friends. The division was clear. And I knew, with the kind of certainty you feel in your bones before your mind catches up, that I was already being erased from the picture she was painting of her life. I became a ghost in my own house. Not because I withdrew, but because I learned to observe without being observed. Her phone was always locked, face down, password changed. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. A secret reveals itself when you give it enough time and silence. Instead, I watched. She began dressing differently for her work events. Dresses that clung in places they used to avoid. Heels higher than necessary. Jewelry I had never seen before. Gifts she claimed were discount finds or borrowed from a friend. She came home later, sometimes with the faint scent of expensive cologne on her skin. Not mine, never mine. One night she slipped into bed past midnight. I pretended to be asleep. She lay stiff beside me, her breathing shallow, rehearsed. I stared into the dark, my mind sharpening. I didn't rage. I didn't accuse. That would have given her power, the chance to deny, to twist, to paint me as insecure. No, I would not give her that satisfaction. Instead, I began to prepare. I traced her patterns. The night she claimed to be with friends. The locations she dropped casually, as if feeding me alibis I hadn't asked for. I checked our joint account. Withdrawals in neighborhoods where we had no friends, no business. Hotel transactions masked as conferences. Piece by piece, I assembled the truth without her ever knowing I was watching. And then I moved deeper. I contacted a private investigator, a man who specialized in discreet observation. I gave him nothing but her schedule. Within a week, I had photographs. Grainy at first. Her leaving a restaurant with a man I didn't recognize. Too close. Too familiar. 2 weeks later, sharper images. A hotel entrance. Their hands brushing. His arm around her waist. Her leaning into him with a softness I hadn't seen in years. The truth wasn't loud. It didn't explode. It landed with quiet weight, undeniable. And in that silence, my decision crystallized. I would not scream. I would not beg. I would not even confront her with words. I would let her unravel herself. All I needed was time. The investigator delivered the final report in a sealed envelope. Inside were photographs, receipts, timestamps. A complete record of her second life. She wasn't just unfaithful. She was strategic, calculated. She had built an entire parallel existence with this man, a banker, wealthy, connected, her rich friends. He was the entry ticket. She was the accessory. And I, the husband, had become the liability she needed to discard. That evening she came home smiling, cheeks flushed. She tossed her heels by the door, humming as though the world had been kind to her. I sat at the table, the envelope before me. She noticed it, froze. "What's that?" she asked, voice too casual. I slid it across the table, said nothing. She opened it. The silence that followed was absolute. Her face drained of color, then flushed too quickly. Her mouth opened, closed. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the evidence. Pages that spoke louder than any accusation ever could. Finally, she looked at me. "It's not what it looks like." The oldest line in the book, and the weakest. I met her eyes. Calm, empty. "Don't insult me." She flinched, because she expected anger, shouting, maybe even tears. But what she faced instead was worse. Detachment. I didn't wait for her excuses, didn't need to hear them. The truth was already written in ink and photographs, and it was enough. Weeks later, she called me. Her voice was soft, rehearsed. "Can you pick me up at the airport?" I agreed. Calm, polite, almost kind. But I never intended to be there. Instead, I arranged something better. When her flight landed, she wheeled her suitcase through arrivals, scanning the crowd. She expected me. She expected forgiveness, or at least the comfort of habit. But the car that pulled up wasn't mine. It was his. The banker. The man she thought was her escape, her salvation. Only he wasn't smiling now. Because I had already sent him the same envelope. Every photograph, every receipt, every proof of her duplicity. Not just against me, but against him too. He stepped out of the car, expression carved from stone. She froze, her practiced smile flickering and dying on her lips. Their eyes met, and in that instant, her carefully built facade crumbled. I wasn't there, but I didn't need to be. I could see it in my mind as clearly as if I stood in the crowd. Her realization that she had lost both lives at once. Her rich friends? Gone. Her lover? Betrayed. Her marriage? Ashes. And all without me raising my voice. Without me lifting a hand. Just silence. Strategy? Patience. I never asked her what happened after that. She came home once more, suitcase in hand, eyes red. She tried to speak. I didn't let her. I simply handed her the divorce papers already drawn up, already signed on my end. Her mouth trembled around words she couldn't form. I didn't care. I watched her leave, the echo of her heels fading down the driveway. This time, there was no cologne, no laughter, no rich friends waiting. Only the sound of her isolation, heavy and real. I sat alone in the